just doing some dog sitting. So I'm going to listen back to the recording from the day that the guy came down from London, and I'm going to try and remember as much of the information as possible and make a video about it. So yeah, be right back. So I'm just going to try and come out with all of the information as it comes to me, because most of it will come back. I'm in no particular order. These aren't in any order at all, but a couple of things which I'll remember. First of all, he was talking about Deliveroo adding a cancel button onto the app, and I assume, well, I think that's going to be a long way off, you know, like months, but I assume it's for something along the lines of being at a restaurant for 10 or 15 minutes, and you could just hit the cancel button. He didn't really have many details on that. I think that's more of a concept than a concrete plan for the future, but he was talking about that. On that rough subject, I came up with the point about, well, somebody else did actually, and I reiterated it, about the point of customers lying about their addresses to get you to deliver out of the area. And he said in that case, what you should do is just call rider support and say you're not going to do it. Of course, you probably wouldn't realise that until you were well on your way. And I said that to him. I said, well, will you still get paid for the... will you just take the food back and get paid for the delivery? And he was a bit like, I'm not in a position to answer that, or at least that's the impression I got. So I didn't get a definitive answer about that. Another rider brought up the question about the crappy bags, and he said that if it is a manufacturer fault as opposed to wear and tear, or somebody just, like, I don't know, really mistreating it, then it will be covered under warranty. So if you send an email off to rider support, then they will liaise with you to meet up with the person who you met at the lockup or wherever you collected your gear from. And he made it sound pretty painless. I don't know if anyone's had any experience of that. If they can comment, that would be interesting. One of the questions, I mean, I asked, I think, 3 questions from the video, from the viewers. But one of my questions were, I work predominantly in one area, but sometimes I work in another area. And that time that I work in the other area is typically when there's a surge on. But 3 out of the past 4 pays, they haven't paid me for the surge in that second area. And I questioned him about that. And it just so happens that the last pay, they actually got it correct. And he said that they just changed the system or something like that. That could be, you know, sort of blowing me off, BS. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. And I said to him, well, is that the reason why it was correct last time? And he kind of went, yeah. So we shall see about that one. But on the last pay, did people's surges, were they correctly paid or not? That would be interesting to know. On the subject of surges, I said to him, we have 2 areas that pretty much overlap, and I only get emails to tell me that there's surges on one area and not the other area, which predominantly gets the surges. And I said, that's crazy. Your system needs to somehow know which surges are going to be relevant to the riders so we can make use of them. And he agreed with me and wrote that down, but I don't know if anything will come of that. One of the riders mentioned about the statistics and about how having time off, like a week off for full-timers, can really mess with the preceding week because they didn't do the peaks. And that was a bit of a non-starter because, as most people would have read, there's been that email that came out about the changes to the statistics, about it not penalising you for time off. So that kind of doesn't really matter. But basically what he was saying is, look, if I have a week off, I can't get the shifts I want when I come back. and I'm full-time, so it's not good. It's not good enough. And yeah, so they've dealt with that. I'm going to listen to the recording now and see if it reminds me of some other stuff. Okay, so this is one of the first questions. I can't actually remember who it was from. Let me see if I can check. It was about the acceptance rate and how relevant that is. Well, the specific question, I think, was... let me get it up. I think it was... basically, the question that I asked him was, what's the relevance of the acceptance rate, and is there a safe percentage? I said, and I just listened to it. What I said was, if you go down to 10, for instance, are you fired? And he said, pretty much, if you're going down to 10%, then there's not really much point of working. And I said, yeah, there is that, to be honest. Let me see. Should have done this in advance. Sorry, guys. Oh, I can't find it. Anyway, this. So basically, I said, like, I mean, is there a safe? And I was trying to push him for an answer, but he didn't have the answer. I was like, is there a safe percentage? For instance, if you're over 50, are you safe? And he was basically saying as close to 100 as possible, which is a typical company response. And I was like, well, is there a percentage that Deliveroo are going to say, we got to get rid of this guy? And or girl, of course. And he was saying contract. And as far as I know, it doesn't say anything about that in contract. I'm pretty sure I read it. Pretty sure. Somebody can correct me if they want to. And I moved on to that. So basically, there is no answer to that, or at least he couldn't give me an answer to that question. But yeah, so I don't know if there's a safe percentage. I think we're probably going to be fine, as long as you're not doing crazy things. And that leads to 2 points. The first point being, it costs Deliveroo money, more money to fire somebody and to recruit people than that is a big enough incentive not to get rid of people unless they absolutely have to. And I'm sure lots of people are going to disagree with me on that, but this is his point. That's not what I said. I don't have experience of this. And I said to him, well, I have restaurants, and I've made my feelings clear in previous videos that I will not go to. I would just not go to. For instance, we have one called Wolf Italian, which I won't go to because the manager was unnecessarily rude to me. As anyone watching my videos will probably know, that I'm a pretty calm guy, you know. I would like to think that I'm calm and rational. And for over a year, or at least as long as Wolf Italian had been with Deliveroo, I had been putting my bike outside the glass window in a respectful manner, you know. I wasn't throwing it against the window, getting the food, and then off I go. And I think maybe it wasn't busy, and he was just hanging around the front door, and he basically ordered me to move my bike, which I did. Like, I didn't mess around. And when I came back in, because I didn't like the way he spoke to me, I said, well, to be fair, if the food was ready, then I would have been gone by now. And then that led to him basically, not so much shouting. He was rude anyway. He was rude. And I said, you know what? I have a solution for this. I just won't come back again. And I haven't been back again because I don't think it's acceptable to be that level of rude for something as small as that. And I'm quite a principled person. And I said, well, there's places that I won't go. I don't go to KFC. It was just because I don't like the place. But I said that there isn't enough options on the reject screen to account for that. It's like me and a few of the other riders went through them all, like closed road, going offline, bike damaged, restaurant too far away, or restaurant waiting time, something like that. And I said, there's no option in there for restaurant manager's a complete tosser, or words to that effect, you know. And he kind of said, yeah, you shouldn't have to accept being rude, and he wrote it down that there aren't enough options on the reject screen. So Whatever may come from that, I don't know. Probably nothing, but I made my thoughts clear on that one. But yeah, he was basically trying to hammer home that the correct percentage is as high as possible, and if you're rejecting too many orders, then what's the point of working? And I didn't beat around the bush. I said, there's a restaurant at the top of a hill. I don't go to that one. Not unless I'm up there. But, I mean, we're self-employed, so I do pretty much what I want. And typically, I don't do bad things. Right, let's listen to some more. One other point that I didn't mention that I just listened to is that he said, and it's a very important point actually, that if you're online and you're taking one place, say they want 10 riders and you're one of them, and you're rejecting a lot of orders, then you're taking a place from somebody else, and you're rejecting orders. In a kind of convoluted, weird way, that is relevant, but it's not that relevant, because the system's set up to allow us to do that. So it's one of those, it could be viewed as taking work away from somebody if you're taking the piss, but only if you're really, really taking the piss. If not, then you're just using the system that is there for us to use. If we weren't allowed to reject orders, or we shouldn't reject orders, then we shouldn't have that facility. So I agreed with him at the time, but the more I think about it now, the more I think, not really. So he just said that he's going to find out the exact figure and get back to me. So again, we shall see if that happens.
We have urgent priorities.
This is a good one.
Something happened with their fees, right?
So I said to him, I think the reason that Deliveroo is so difficult to get a hold of, I don't mean somebody in Manila, somebody in the Philippines, I mean somebody in the UK that can fix your problems, not take your problems, write them down, email them off to somebody else who doesn't care. I mean, get hold of somebody, either send them a direct email or call them and say, I have this problem, what do you want me to do about it? And I said, I think the reason Deliveroo do that is to save money. So, it's like call centres where you press all these different numbers. Press 1 for blah, blah, and you're in a queue for however long. And it's just to reduce, I think, to save money, in so much you don't get people calling up every 5 seconds going, oh, I've got a flat tyre, what do I do? Well, of course, you would ring them up if you had to stop work or whatever, if you had an order on. But, like, I think my personal opinion was that it was a money-saving exercise. And what he said, and this is actually quite a big issue, something which I think is a pertinent issue for Deliveroo. And that is, what he said was, no, we don't try and avoid people to save money. We have a team in Manila, we have a team in the UK, and issues are prioritised. And if there's a lot of priorities one week, then the items which aren't a priority get to put to the bottom of the pile. And I said, okay, however, at some point, a low priority ticket is going to be a priority to somebody, and these are the people that are earning you money. So you cannot make a low priority for a month or 2 months, or just forget about it in general, because that isn't acceptable. And I talked about this in my last Doing Deliveroo video, which I haven't edited yet, a bit more actually. I talked about it quite a lot. But I think that this is a problem which is synonymous with a small company getting very big very fast, and they don't have all of the procedures in place, and they don't have the infrastructure, and they don't know how to do all of these things. They're kind of learning as they go. So what looks like very much like they're an elusive, deceitful, sometimes, beast, this just horrible, infuriating company that looks like they're trying to save money and screw over the people that are working for them, is actually just a company that's just learning as it goes. And it just, yeah. So I talk about that a bit more in the Doing Deliveroo video. I'm not going to go into it too much because this is going to be a really long video. So let's get back to it.
For
Yeah, what he said just basically confirmed everything that I said. He said what happens is they're looking to improve the way that they deal with rider engagements, and he goes up and down the country speaking to different people and finds out what's important and then reports that back to the company. And what I've always said, even before I met this guy, is the system is set up to deal with the majority, and it appears to ignore the minority. Like, for instance, the issue that I had where 3 months I couldn't phone customers. And I emailed and I emailed and I emailed, and I got the boilerplate answers saying, we're looking into this. And then one day I just tried it, and all of a sudden it was working, and nobody got back to me to say that. I mean, I don't know exactly how many days or even how many weeks it had been working, because it was just waiting for me to try it again to see. I mean, I was trying it maybe once every couple of weeks, so it probably couldn't have been longer than 2 or 3 weeks, but that's a perfect example of that. That really, really affected me. It affected the amount of work I can do, which means it affected the amount of money that I could earn. And that's something that's really important to me. And that was a massive priority. But because I'm a minority and it was a minority issue, it just got put to the bottom and then forgotten about. And that reminds me of something else, a running theme. Me and some of the other riders who comment on my YouTube videos about rider support hanging up on people, and I always said I think that's because they're assessed on their statistics, i.e. how long they answer phones and stuff, like various different things like that for. And he said, yeah, they are assessed on things like that. However, he says he thinks it was a problem with the switchboard, something to do with the location, geo something or other. And I said, that's all good and well, apart from the fact when you hear them talk before, or you hear background noise before they hang up. And I kind of had him on that one. He didn't. I don't think he had much to say on that, but. Yeah, and I did also say, because somebody mentioned about rider support being crap or something or other, and I did say to him, you know, I don't mind them that much. I did mind them, but I have to say it has improved recently. Instead of saying, well, like if you can't get hold of a customer, instead of saying, wait 10 minutes and I'll send them an email, wait 10 minutes and then call back, they put you on hold and try and call the customer, which I think is better. So I think that they have improved. You know, they've improved, that they've obviously listened to someone and changed the way they do it and improved, which is good. But another thing I said to him is, why do they have to follow the script so rigidly? I remember, and I've made a video about it, I rang up and I said, hi, I've been asked to deliver to a car park. You know, spoke very clearly. The customer isn't answering the phone. What would you like me to do? To which they replied, have you knocked on a door? On the car park? But like, I don't know if they weren't listening or they're just following a script. And he basically said, look, they have to do it like that. They just have to. They have to stick to that, because they have to provide the same service to everyone, do the same thing, which is kind of fine, you know. They're not doing it on purpose. They're not trying to annoy people on purpose, typically. But I'm still sure that they hung up on people when it gets really busy. It could be a switchboard thing, but I find that unlikely. I don't know. I'll listen to some more. So this video is shaping up to be quite a long one. So I'm just going to specifically answer the questions on the video.
How's it going, guys?
So let's fire through them. So can they start delivering groceries? Well, that's a possibility. I didn't ask that one because it wasn't a marketing type meeting. It was just talking about feedback. I think I did mention that to him, actually. Not sure if he wrote it down, though. Although, funny that you say that. I think in the early days, I think they actually did do groceries. I think the question about the algorithm was asked after I'd met them, or after I checked anyway. Somebody says, I bet they regret asking you along. Thank you. Somebody asked to do a tutorial on the app. It's not really relevant to this, but somebody asked for the Christmas paydays. Again, that's not relevant. I did do another video on the paydays. I didn't ask for a pay rise. Sorry, R9 AJ. Yeah. We ignore that one. Deliveroo cancelled my kit collection 4 times. I booked again for next week. Let's see what's going to happen. Again, this is going back to the big company not having their procedures tied down, and also working with self-employed people. So they have to tell somebody to go and meet you at this place, and maybe their lines of communication aren't that great. But yeah, I've heard lots of things about that, about people having difficulties with the administrative side of it and with the logistics. There's no surprises there, but keep trying. You will get it eventually. Ordering from 2 different restaurants, a customer ordering from 2 different restaurants, why can't we collect it? The system would never be able to, well, it might be able to cope with that, but not for a long time. Double deliveries are bad enough as it is. Okay, Ian, this is a real question, a serious question, and I did answer this one. Basically, he's making the point that when he wants to use the bathroom, he signs out, and then he can't sign back in again because the login area is smaller than the area. I agree. It's a complete pain. I don't log out when I want to use the bathroom. I go whilst I'm working, whilst I'm logged in. Obviously not whilst I'm delivering food. It's always before an order, before I'm off delivering an order. Maybe in the restaurant when I'm waiting, I use the bathroom. Sometimes I ask them, sometimes they have staff toilets. But one thing I would say about that, and the guy who I was speaking to, he did agree. He said you can usually stay signed in, don't worry so much about signing out to use the bathroom. One thing I will say that he mentioned, because there was something happened to me and I was well out of the area and I logged out because it was going to take me so long to get back, and then I tried to log back in again and I couldn't because I was outside the login area, and that annoyed me a lot. But what he said was I don't know when, but they're going to extend the login area to the size of the area. So you won't have that problem anymore, although you don't really need to log out just to have a wee anyway. I don't know about that one. Yeah, that's the one about the acceptance rate. I've already spoken about that one. Yeah, about the rider support, I think I've already mentioned about that. They can sometimes be useless, but I think that they are improving. Someone asked why the application process takes so long. Just keep calling them. You comment quite a lot on my channel. I thought that you already worked for them. Just keep calling them. They say don't only call if you have to, but just keep calling them. And I don't know what you mean about the short birth certificate. Is that 2 different sizes of birth certificate? Is that for your proof of ID? Do you not have a driving license or a passport? I honestly don't know about that one. I don't think I saw it before I met with him, and he probably wouldn't have known it anyway. But that pretty much covers it. Anything else I can think of? Something that he said that I agree with, and that is that when people are happy, they work harder and they work more. So, although it might seem that Deliveroo are deliberately trying to annoy us, they're not. Oh, this is important. And I might even make another video about this. He promised, and I don't know if he was joking when he promised it, but he promised me that I could have an interview with the managing director guy, Shu. So he's going to get me an interview. Again, I'm not going to hold my breath, but that's what he said. So we shall see. Did I not answer your question? Maybe if you leave a comment on this video and he did say something pertinent to that, then I'll reply. But if I do get an interview, which I doubt I will be relying on you guys for some questions. So take it easy, guys.